All right, here we go. Forbidden. What's up, George? What's going on in the house of Craze tonight?
Woo! In the house of Craze tonight, we have Ryan Drost. What is going on in his book, Stealth Hammer?
What you call me? Hammer! Get it!
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Rivera. And I am with...
George the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, everybody? We are live once again. Another Kickstarter special. Another one. We have another great book. It's Stealth Hammer. The sci-fi supernatural adventure continues, and we're going to be talking to the creator of the book, Ryan Drost, who will be talking to us about Stealth Hammer. This is the second book, second issue, so definitely check it out on Kickstarter. It's live right now. He has 11 days to go. The campaign ends November 21st at 10 p.m. So make sure you get on there and pledge. But we're going to be talking to him about him and the creative process behind the book.
Word.
But what's going on with you, Sam? What's happening out there, brother?
What's going on? We're waiting on two more.
That's right.
Backers in order to get that wheel going, get that wheel spinning. So yesterday we announced that we're going to have the Spin the Wheel raffle, and that we need 5 backers at $15 or more to get your names on the wheel. George's infamous Wheel of Fortune. And so since we've announced it, we've had 3 backers at 15 or more. So their names are on the wheel, but in order to spin that wheel, we need between now and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we need 2 more backers at $15 or more, either on Kickstarter or Indiegogo for Forbidden, in order to spin that wheel. And if you spin that wheel, you'll get a copy of ARG, A Wealthy Family, The Perfect Life, until the day a child was born into the world. A child she refused to acknowledge for fear of how the public would react. Hidden from the world with a dark secret lingering in the shadows, only a few are aware of the impact this child will have on the world. The race begins to prevent the inevitable. This is the story of a child named Arg. This is a short story prose that I wrote that I haven't launched yet, so you'll get firsthand, exclusive copy. So whoever wins gets the name. So we need 3 people tonight to pledge to Forbidden.
2 more people.
2 people, yes, 2 more people. That's what I said. I don't know what you said.
You said 3.
I said 3.
3, dog.
So so Forbidden is currently running on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and we need 24 backers on Kickstarter to unlock the backer goal. And we need, I forgot, 200 and change to unlock the first stretch goal.
About 225, I think.
225 to unlock the first stretch goal. And so they're both reachable. They're both within arm's distance. I can see it. I can taste it. I can feel it. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? So,
came to sing. You came to sing today. I like it.
So, yes, I mean, this is a fantastic series. Episode 2. The third book in the series. You see You'll learn a lot. You'll learn about Viejo and his secret past, and you understand who he is and what he is to the story. You'll learn about Desra and her mission to seek aid for the coming war and to try to save her brother and bring him back to the caverns. You'll learn about Nokron and his ultimate goal and his purpose. You'll be introduced to another character that I can't tell you about. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this series, and you need to read it. You need to read it. So for anybody out there, I don't care if it was 100 backers and they just did the digital $5 to get the copy. I just wanted to get 100 people or more to read it. That's all I care about. I'm not trying to pay the artist. The artist was paid 2 years ago. So I'm just trying to get this into as many hands as possible. So even if you just did digital, you went 100% digital, it's not hurting me. It's helping me to get this into hands, and I love to get the feedback from everybody. So,
yeah, so the digital you have? What is it? 2 digital?
Yes, there's
tiers or 3?
Yeah, let me open it up for a second. Let me move that one. Where are you? The hunt.
Because to get your name on the wheel, what do they have to do?
To get the name on the wheel, you have to do a $15.
$15.
Let me get that logo out the way. Bang. Yeah, so to get the name of the wheel, you have to do a $15. You can do a digital bundle for $50. You get all 3 issues, 0, 1, and 2 for $15. And but if you didn't care about the raffle and you just wanted to support and you want to start off on issue 2, which is kind of crazy. If you want to start on issue 2, you're not going to know what happened in issue 0 and 1, but you can do that for $5 and get the digital number 2. Or you can do the physical. But if you just want to go all digital because you don't have enough room, and your wife or your girlfriend or your brother or your boyfriend, whatever it is saying, yo, you got too much, you got to stop. We got no more space. You can't bring in another comic book in this house. Go digital. Go digital. Put it on your hard drive, and it'll stay there forever, unless it crashes, and then you got luck. But
that would suck. That would really suck. Well, you can print them out. You get the PDF. You print them out and keep them somewhere.
That's it, man. So yeah, if you go to Kickstarter, it's just type in Forbidden. You go to Indiegogo, just type in Forbidden, and you can pledge tonight. So again, between now and 9 p.m., we're doing this live show, and then we have another guest at 8 o'clock. We're doing live shows then, so we have time between those 2 shows to be able to get the other 2 backers in there in the game to support Forbidden, the epic fantasy series that you should be reading. Have you ever wanted to go on an adventure and just get away? And just take your mind. Remember when you first read The Lord of the Rings? Remember when you first read Harry Potter? When you first read, the Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time? When you first read 300, right? Here's an opportunity for you to join the adventure and read Forbidden and go off and put yourself in the position of Sin or Lord Vox or Viejo. He's a bad mofo, right? Or Desera or Arius, the mysterious Arius. What is she hiding? Where did she go? All those questions will be answered in this episode. Right? She started it all.
Hold on. We get the answer to where Arius went after they jumped into the water?
I don't know.
No, you said you get the answer. You get the answer.
The answers.
Oh, okay. All right. Listen, you guys, you get the answers. So pick up the book, go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, because Johnny asked this question, if you pledged on Indiegogo, it also counts towards your name on the wheel. So
doesn't matter which platform.
I don't like Kickstarter. If you don't like Kickstarter, you want to go to Indiegogo. Pledge on Indiegogo, and your name goes on there.
Yes.
It's the same, right, on both, Sam?
Yeah, it's the same. In fact, I got Indiegogo up right now. So let's see. So Indiegogo has the digital $5. It's got the digital 3 for $15. Yeah, it's the same. Exactly. Everything's the same except you have a Indiegogo exclusive cover and you got a Kickstarter exclusive cover. That's the only difference.
There you go. Yeah, so get in there, hit the pledge button. You know.
I mean, there's some great stuff. I mean, we're 24 backers away from unlocking the first digital print, which is fire. It's fire. I mean, the guy who did that, woo, fuego. I want a copy of a Sam the Crazy Man print. Yo, who doesn't want a Sam the Crazy Man? Look, Sam the Crazy Man, Super Sam. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Right?
Guys, ignore all of that.
See,
right?
I got the
pledge.
Superman, and he's got the Batman hat, right? So he's got B for Batman, I got S for Superman.
Oh my God. The campaign ends December 1st at 8:12 p.m. 26 backers right now, 21 days to go. Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm just going to read here.
I do have a public service announcement.
All right. Wait, hold on. Before you do a public service announcement. So just remember that there are stretch goals and there are backer goals that we are trying to hit.
Yes.
So there are two separate goals.
You got two
One is the
separate
stretch goal, which
opportunities.
is
Yes.
the dollar amount. That's 1,000. You get the first stretch goal. And then you have the backer goal, which is the 50 to unlock some stuff. What's your public service announcement, dog?
There are almost 50 people that are watching the campaign right now that haven't been converted.
50. Damn.
50. If you're watching this right now, pledge today. Get your name on the wheel. Pledge today. I'm not sure why everyone's waiting because there's not like a closeout sale. This is not like a Crazy Eddie's or a Black Friday sale. This is a Kickstarter. Everything stays the same all the way through. But I would, let's get your name on that raffle. You get an opportunity to try to win some cool stuff. And then the more that everybody does not wait, the more we can unlock a lot of cool stuff. So you get a lot of swag in your bag when you go in to checkout. Free stuff. Who doesn't want free? Johnny wants free. There he goes in the chat. Johnny wants free, right?
What up,
so
Johnny?
you get extra stuff. You get pinups. You get stickers. You got trading cards that we can unlock. If everybody who's waiting and just watching the campaign just start pledging now, we can get all those things unlocked. And you when you get that package in the mail, you're gonna get a whole lot of stuff. And for the people who are just doing digital, everything that everybody gets physically, you'll get it digitally as well.
Yeah, Johnny, we don't have enough for the spinner yet, but
we need two more, Johnny. We need two more names for the spinner.
Two more names.
Yes.
But yeah, so for those that are watching right now, say hello. And also if you
Hello.
have questions, for Ryan, then go ahead and ask away.
Yeah.
We always like to have some crowd participation. We will acknowledge all of your or most of your posts or comments on the show as long as they're PG and not R-rated.
Not R-rated,
So-
yes. In fact, let me just put this in the chat.
So definitely get involved.
So
We are looking forward to speaking with him and finding out what's going on. But Stealth Hammer is the project that we are featuring tonight on our Kickstarter special. Like I said earlier, his campaign ends on November 21st at 10 p.m. So he's got 11 days to go, and he's got 86 backers. He's got a $9,000 goal. He's about halfway to there, and so let's help him get to his goal.
Yes, we got San Martino in the audience too. Johnny and San Martino, what's up, guys?
Dynamic duo.
Yes.
What up, Michael? So
Michael rolled the boat ashore.
what else do we have? I think we told him about the spinners. Forbidden number 2 is on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Make sure you go pledge.
Yes.
And we have Stealth Hammer.
I wonder why it's not loading up
Ryan
on
Drost.
Facebook. That's an interesting thing.
What was that?
For some reason, it's not showing up on Facebook. Let me see.
What's not showing up the show?
My comments are not showing up. I'm looking at this, and it's saying my comments are not showing up on Facebook. Not live. What do you mean it's not live? I'm watching it right here. What do you mean it's not live? Anyway, it's saying it's not live. Anyway, so yes, we're gonna bring in our guest, and he's in the waiting room, and we're gonna talk to Ryan Drost about Stealth Hammer, and but before we do, everybody, and their grandmoms, their cousins, the gnomes down the block, the elves up the street, everybody has a campaign, everybody has a Kickstarter, but you can't get on every podcast, but you want to promote. And the secret to a successful campaign is promoting it 3 months out, right? Getting that landing page active, getting the word out, right? So here's a way that you can do it affordably. Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press?
How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Cast the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
All right, we're bringing in our guest into the chat. There he is.
Hey.
Look at that with the action figures behind him, or the plush dolls behind
yeah.
it. I see. I'm peeping it. I'm peeping it.
I gotta come prepared, right?
Yeah, man, looking good.
It's looking great. What's going on, Ryan? How's everything, man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for being on the show tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited, man. We were looking through your book. I think it's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Incredible artwork. I mean, this thing is just out of control. But yeah, no, again, thank you for being on the show. And for those who are watching, this is Ryan Drost. He is the creator of Stealth Hammer. His Kickstarter is live right now. So make sure you go to Kickstarter and pledge to his book tonight. We got to get this man to his goal. He has 11 days. But Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to the audience, and give us your background.
Yeah, so I work in customer service as the day job, but I also, much like you guys, I do a podcast. I've been doing it for about 12 years now, and so I'm very comfortable talking with people, and I also know how tough it is. So keeping stuff out there and building an audience and all that type of stuff. Oh, yeah. But yeah, we mostly focus on 1980s properties, and so Star Wars, G.I. Joe, all that stuff I grew up with, and got to talk to, much like I did with podcasting, where I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I was like, oh, I'd like to do that. I got into it and everything. I interview a lot of creators. I talk to a lot of writers and artists and everything else. And I was like, well, I've always felt like I was a pretty good storyteller, and took a lot of classes in writing and felt very comfortable telling a story myself. I'm fairly artistic, but not to the level that I would want it to be, which is why I have an amazing artist on this project with me. And so I was like, all right, let me finally, create something. And Stealth Hammer was it. And it came from actually a nickname that my wife has. So, which is always the thing that cracks people up.
It's got nothing to do with you. It's
nothing to do with me. I guarantee Stealth Hammer has nothing to do with me. No, she's a graphic designer, and she worked at one place, and she swooped in and won a client over with a submission she had. And so the boss next time said, well, watch out for Stealth. And that became a nickname for her. And then she worked at another place, and she had to be in charge of brand compliance, where you have to pay attention to the colors that are used, where things are located on a graphic. And so her boss says, oh, she has to be the one that lays the hammer down. So she put the two together, became Stealth Hammer. That's been her nickname ever since. And we always joked and make a great superhero name. That's just a cool name. So I had her drawn, went to Baltimore Comic-Con a few years ago, and had an artist that drew her as a superhero. And man, once I saw that, I was like, yeah, this actually could be something. And I related to, there's the legendary story of Paul McCartney waking up one day and he wrote the song Yesterday in 15 minutes.
Right.
The second I thought, okay, this could be something, the ideas just started flooding my mind. We were in a department store, a area, and I just was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And man, I just pulled my phone out, started jotting down ideas and everything else, started writing it, and the rest was history at that point. So it's been a fun ride. We launched a Kickstarter a few years ago, was unsuccessful with that one, but learned a lot from it, an awful lot from it. And then we launched another one last year, and we crushed our goal, far more than what we're looking for this time. And first issue came out, and man, it got such amazing reception. I was on the local news. I was on morning shows. Had a radio show that I went on. It was just I couldn't believe how much people loved it. And I was like, all right, I have a lot more story to tell. Let's get into that next issue. So
That's awesome, man. That's got to be an incredible feeling. I know when we've been doing this for a long time, and back in the day when we were doing this back in like the early 2000s, we had like a similar experience where like you had that first, you had that first property that hits, and all of a sudden, you're like you said, you're on radio shows and you're on TV, and it's a surreal feeling. I'm glad you experienced that, man. That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, and the tough part about that too is giving yourself that chance to take a step back and realize how cool that is. Because when you're in the weeds and everything else, you're just like, okay, you're just focused on what's the next thing I got to do and everything else. But thankfully, my wife's also really good at making sure I'm taking those steps back to like appreciate those milestones and everything else. So.
That's a nice balance. What were you as a kid though? Were you into comics as a kid? Like what was what was Ryan like growing up? Like
so
as a kid?
So I grew up on a main street, so there was no going in the neighborhood and go out in the street and play with the neighborhood kids or anything like that. So I was left to my own devices. I had a younger sister, so we would play sometimes, but there's a lot of stuff that I would play or she would play. We didn't want to mix together. So I would pull out my action figures and I'd create stories. So like I mentioned, I do the podcast with the 1980s property. So I'd have G.I. Joe creating the Transformers robots, and then this relic castle would come up from the ground, and that'd be Castle Grayskull, and like I'd build fortresses with my Lego and all that type of stuff. So it was a lot of imagination growing up. That's what it was for me. Right. You're in the backyard with a stick, you're fighting ninjas that aren't there, all that fun stuff. So, so that I was growing up, and thankfully in high school, I had a teacher who she had a choice where it was like, she was an English teacher, and she's like, you can either take a multiple choice test or you can write an essay. Well, I didn't get a choice. She saw something in my writing and she's like, you're writing essays. Wow. And she totally supported me on that. And when I went to college, I took a lot of creative writing courses and everything else, and just got to really explore that imagination I had as a kid. And the cool thing is nowadays is I think of so many different scenarios and situations and everything like that. And I was telling my wife about the Stealth Hammer story and how this is going to tie together, and this goes to this and that goes to that. And she just looks at me and she goes, your brain does not work like other people's, right? And she meant that as a compliment. She's like, this is a gift that you have. She goes, I hear how excited you are, but she goes, you're able to tie these things together in such a complex way, but still making it simple for me to understand and everything. And that's the thing with Stealth Hammer is I refer to it as Claremontian writing. So Chris Claremont, as many people know, he would put a lot of little Easter eggs, little nuggets of story that he planned on visiting later. Right. And that's what I do with this is I have all these things. So like everything you see in the background, every little bit of dialogue is there for a reason. And it's to tie into this bigger story that I'm creating. But yeah, heavy comic book person. It's awesome. So
Ryan, just to don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
We were looking at your book. We were just talking about it earlier, like the first issue. Because thank you for sending us that. Yeah. When you talk about Easter eggs in the book, how many Easter eggs are in that first page? Because that first page is ridiculous, bro. Like
the question
who are watching,
as an artist.
For those who are hold on, let me just finish. For those who are watching, right? So Ryan sent us the first issue of the book, and we want to thank you very much for sending it. But he sent us the first issue of the book, which you guys can. I think they can get it in this Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you could totally get it. Now, when you do get it, open up that first page, because that first page. Go ahead, Sam. What were you gonna say about that first page?
How long did it take the artist to do it?
Hey, so Joel Jackson is my artist, and I wanted this cartoony but detailed style. That's what I was going for. We're going for all ages, but I wanted something that somebody could draw detailed backgrounds. He as far as I know, he hasn't told me otherwise. He loves drawing that type of stuff, and there's stuff in there that he put in there. Mm-hmm. That later on, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be this story later on.
That's amazing.
So there's things in there that were input from me, and then there's other things that he threw in there that later on I was like, oh, I like that. I'm going to use that for this. And
like that first page would be a great pinup.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love, what it is, what I like about the book, and guys, you have to get this book for those watching. What I like about the book, Ryan, is your attention to detail, right? Yeah. So like even the captions, the way they are created, it's very modern. it looks like text messages.
Yes,
rather
that's
than
what's
just
supposed to be,
caption
yes.
boxes,
Yes.
right? So like those little details are, I think, what makes this story so interesting, because it is it has a futuristic feel to it. There is some
Yeah.
futuristic,
Yeah.
and so when you add those little details, that takes it over the top for me personally.
I'm glad you noticed that, because I did reach out to it's in the script, but I also reached out to the letterer and I said her grandmother has a journal that we'll find out about in the second issue. But it's a traditional type journal. Well, I figured this is kind of maybe a family thing. So she keeps a journal, but she keeps a journal like a kid today would keep a journal. And she keeps it on a tablet. So I wanted that to look digital. So it was very intentional to do it that way.
Yeah, no, very well done. Very well done. It works. It totally works, because it could get messy. You know,
Yes.
if you don't do it right, it could totally be confusing, and and if it's not consistent, that's the other thing you want. You want that consistency, and you find that throughout the pages. I mean, like I said, the artwork is incredible. And the story. So tell us about the story.
So first to wrap up the first page, there is a first page like that in this issue also, and that's something I plan on continuing. So every first page of every first issue is going to have this amazing scene, hopefully, that Joel is going to draw. So, and like I said, he likes doing it. So as far as I know, if he tells me otherwise, I'll change my writing a bit, but he likes doing it so far. But yeah, so the story is that she is just starting off in college. She is based after my wife. So the character's name is Jamie. My wife's name is Jamie. She's studying graphic design, which that played into who her parents were. So I was like, okay, a graphic designer, where would that influence come from? Well, her dad's a scientist, inventor, and her mom's an interior designer. So I was like, okay, blend those two together, you got a graphic designer. Nice. And so she's bringing her boyfriend home to meet dad. He has a lab down in the basement, and uncle, you always have to have the evil uncle, of course. So the evil uncle, yes, yes, he sabotages a thing that her dad was working on, and she gets caught in it. And but there's a little bit of destiny that plays a factor there. There's a little elf guy that shows up, and he leaves a little something behind that plays into the story. And she ends up getting powers, and her powers right now, at least, are that she has fists like sledgehammers, and she can turn invisible.
Right.
Stealth hammer.
I found it interesting how the uncle knowingly sabotaged this place, but saw her going in and didn't do anything to prevent her from going in.
Yes. Yeah. So that is definitely going to be something that we're going to explore in the future, because there's a reason for that. And this isn't the secrets I don't mind talking about, but basically he sees his brother as somebody who's gotten everything that he always wanted. And he will do anything to take that away from him. And he's being manipulated by somebody else too. So where maybe he would have thought about family at one point, he's just in it for himself at this point. So, and he's basically told that there shouldn't be any witnesses. So that's why he doesn't worry about.
Which is why in the end, when he says, "Oh, you'll find out," when she says something about the devil, and he says, "Well, you'll find out."
That's Jormungand. He is I played a little bit with the name, but it is the serpent from Norse mythology that Thor always battled.
Right.
So
I like how you're sprinkling all that stuff into the story, because it's not just pretty pictures. There is a story. Yeah. So you're getting everything here when obviously when you pledge to the book, you're getting all of that. Now this is the second issue. Tell me a little bit about. We're praising the artist a lot. Tell me how that union came about. How did you meet the artist, and how did that all happen? Yeah.
So the backup story was done by Alexandra Scott, and I met her. She did character sheets for me, and then she did the backup story that you saw, the 5-page backup story in that first issue. And I met her through a friend of mine, Robert Atkins, who is a comic book artist, and he teaches a class down at SCAD, which is Savannah College of Art and Design. And he's like, I think one of my students would be a great fit for you. So he matched me up with her. We worked on that during the first Kickstarter, like I said, where we were unsuccessful. When we went to go to the second one, we just really couldn't line up or anything like that. I needed to find a new artist. And, and that happens sometimes. And reached out to a bunch of people that we knew. And here my wife reached out to some old classmates of hers that she took graphic design with, and said, "Hey, does anyone know a comic artist? Here's what Ryan's looking for." And one guy reached out and he says, yeah, my buddy Joel, who lives in Columbus, which is only 2 hours from me. We're both Ohio guys. And he's been doing it for years. So he sent me a link of his stuff. I was like, immediately, I was like, this is the guy. And my wife, who's like, I'm the instinctual one. Like, I'm the one who, to give you a little quick story, I'm the one who, when we walked in to pick out rings when we're getting married, I'm the one that grabbed this one and said, yep, that's the one. As soon as I walked in, I knew that was the one. And she's the one that like browsed and looked at everything. She wanted to get the right one. I instinctively knew. So we're a good balance for each other with that, because she's the one that makes sure that I'm not jumping too quickly into something. And she's like, are you just saying that you like him because you need somebody, or do you actually like his stuff? And I was like, no, this is the guy. I'm telling you right now, this is the guy. And yeah, then he sends me the first page from the script, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely the guy.
What's your style of writing, Ryan? Do you write, we all talk about the Marvel way or the DC way. Like, what do you do? Do you basically label everything out, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, or you give him the straight of the page and he goes in?
So what I do is when I first start writing is, of course, I think about it a lot before I finally put anything on paper. But I kind of do like what I call a writer's version of a storyboard, because I'm very visual. And like I said, I have a little bit of artistic background in myself. So I was like, I don't actually draw it out like you'd see for a movie storyboard. But what I do is I actually will draw like boxes of what each page will be. And I will write like little outline words that fill that box. And that lets me know, okay, how many panels does this need to be? Can I fit all of this on this page? Or am I putting too much, or am I not putting enough on there? And I'll like actually cross out stuff, circle stuff. I go, okay, this is panel 1. Okay, this is going to be panel 2. Because I think you guys have talked about in recent episodes where you have to watch, because an artist can't draw multiple actions in one panel. So I try to avoid that. I have it pictured in my head, but I'm like, okay, how many panels would it take to actually convey that? And so I map all that out, and then I finally sit down and start writing the script off of that weird writer's storyboard. So
wow, that's awesome, bro. You know what? That also helps with the dialogue and the balloon placement.
Yes.
Because then you're not covering up whatever it is he's drawing. He knows that he has this much room up top. He needs to leave this much room up top so that nothing is covered up. So that's actually pretty good.
And that was a tip I got from my friend Robert, who connected me. I mentioned earlier. He says one thing that always helps him, even if the artist wants to change it, but one thing that always helps him is for him to see the top of the page and see how many panels the writer is looking for. So at the top of the page, I'll put down, okay, 6 panels, and then I actually go panel by panel. Now, when I send it to Joel, I tell him, you don't have to follow that. Like, if you think you need, I put 6 panels and you think you need 8, do it. If I put 6 and you think you need 4, do that. So, and we've worked really well like that. So
that's good.
So what's the significance of the gnome?
Well, he is an elf, and that's addressed in the second issue. Okay, I will tell you that there's a character that refers to him as a gnome, and he takes umbrage with that.
Oh, good. Yeah, so no offense, buddy, but yeah, so because at first I thought that was the grandfather. When I first started reading it, I was like, why is he up there hiding? And what's he doing up there? And then after the explosion, I see the dad, and I'm like, oh, that's not him. Who is that little guy? And I seen your character, and you decided to go full force with figures. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So I'll actually show you this right here. My wife and I were blessed to go take a trip to Iceland. And while we're there, I don't know how many people out there know about Iceland, but they do have a belief in elves, or at least some of them do. And this was sitting in a shop, just a shop there. And I started getting ideas while I was in Iceland of the mythology side of my story. And I pulled some things from there. In fact, in the second issue, she is going to be leaving to go to Iceland. And Ari the elf is going to be taking her there. And I saw this guy and I was like, that's my elf right there. And I brought him home. And Ari is, he's 216 years old. And just to let you know the significance of that, I live in Cleveland.
I was going to ask you, is there a significance?
Yeah. I live in Cleveland, and the area code for Cleveland is 216.
Okay.
So, so
Nice.
I'm playing off. I have little things like that I throw in there.
I
too.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you left some unsolved questions in this first issue with like
Yes.
her boyfriend, right?
Yes.
Because he was in this,
yeah.
he was in the same explosion. So what kind of
Yes.
effects or impact does it have on him? Do you
So
find that out in this issue?
You do not. However, you do find out that he's okay.
Okay.
I had so many people that asked me, "Is Kyle okay? Is Kyle okay?" And I was like, "Well, there's a line at the end that says he's okay." Yeah. But at the end of the second issue, you will be asking if another character is okay or not, and that's very intentional.
He's just tearing up the place. So
wait, so hold on. So what happened with the elf? So he's 216 years
So
old.
he's 216 years old. He's sent on a mission because we find out in the second issue that Stealth Hammer is part of a family legacy that as far as guardians of the planet. And her dad actually believed that it was all over when her grandmother disappeared 5 years ago because things had been quiet for a while. And that's why in the first issue, when she takes off, you see the little line from him that says, "I had wished this was all over." Mm-hmm. That was a little hint of more to come. And in this issue, he talks to her about that and talks about her grandmother and everything else. And then Ari makes himself known to them, and he gives a history also. And we're going to have this amazing double splash page, because the thing I told Joel was, "Okay, now you're in trouble after this first issue." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because now I know what you can do." And we're gonna have this double page splash that really kind of goes over the history of her family and the dangers that they're gonna be facing and stuff like that. And it's this big scroll that Ari opens up and talks about. Wow. And he's there to bring her back to the goddess Aurora, and which is also something I pulled from Iceland, and for training. And I'm going to be pulling from a lot of mythological characters. Like you talked about, I have a lot of high-tech, futuristic type stuff. I refer to this as like the world as like Mega Man meets Jim Henson's Creature feature shop. So
get that. Definitely.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'll eventually be developing too is that on the good guy side, science, technology and mythology work together. But on the bad guy side, they're forced together. So we're going to see mythological beings on the bad guy side with like cybernetic parts and enhancements and all this type of stuff starting to happen. So we do get introduced to another bad guy in the second issue, which is awesome. His name is Jerome Hunts. And if you play around with his name, you'll find out it's an anagram for something.
Nice.
So you can have some fun with that.
No relation to Jerome from Martin.
Man. Jerome.
So Johnny Syphex is in the chat and he says, "Hello Ryan Drost, very smooth work. I'm back in this and another one. Great stuff. Really looks good."
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you're 11 days in. What is your intention for this IP?
So like a parrot. You sound like a parrot. What are your intentions?
What are your intentions with my daughter? Yeah. So I can tell you that I have the first 6 issues mapped out, and I have a nice big surprise at the end of the 6 issues. But yeah, it's so in the next, I can already tell you the next issue, we're going to explore Ari's adventure to coming to this, and you're going to see awesome little flashbacks and hints as to things that you already read in issue 1 and 2, but from Ari's perspective, and why certain, like I got asked by somebody, well, why wasn't the dad home to meet her, the Jamie's boyfriend? Like if I knew my daughter was bringing her boyfriend home, I'd be home. I was like, wait till issue 3, you'll find out. so again,
stop asking questions.
Right.
Read the book.
Just pledge, damn it.
But yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with that. And then I do have. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is a big IP, and I know that's dangerous to do sometimes. But for me, it's very much go big or go home. So even though I've got a 6-issue arc planned out, I can tell you right now, as long as I can keep doing this, I got stories enough for 30 to 50 issues. I will tell you, I do have an ending to it. So it's not like this is just going to go on forever. I know exactly what's going to end. I will not reveal that, but that's a big twist. It's a big surprise. So
Ryan, so you're committed to the book, and I love that, because that's one of the biggest things, the biggest hurdles, right? Is committing to a story and finishing it through. How about the team? And are you okay with maybe bringing in another artist, like as long as it coincides? How is that going along? Like, are they good with like the scope of the work?
So I can tell you, Joel for a fact is on board for all of it. He has told me he always wanted to be part of a series, so he's very excited to do this. He really loves where the story's going. We bounce ideas off each other. We really collaborate well. From issue 1 to issue 2, we did have to change colorists, and that's only because I had Ross Hughes, who has done a ton of work for like DC, Marvel, and stuff like that. He was on for the first issue, but he did retire from doing full issues. So when I asked him, hey, do you want to come on for the second issue? He's like, he's done it for 15 years on top of a regular full-time job. He's like, I'll still do little projects here and there, but he says, I'm retiring from doing full issues. And
I think anybody having to color your pages would have retired too.
You retired him, right? That first page, he was like, you know what, Ryan?
I'm done.
I probably did. But I had to reach out to another colorist, and who I got on is Chris Sotomayor, who is, people, if they know comics, should be no stranger to his name. He has recently just worked on Batman and Spider-Man and X-Men. So I reached out to him. I've known him for a little while, but I also know he's swamped with work. And I said, would you be interested in doing this? And he was like, yeah, this looks like fun. I'll totally do it. And we came to an agreement. And it's amazing because the other day I'm reading a comic and I see his name on there, and I was like, I'm working with that guy.
Surreal. Yeah. No, that's freaking awesome.
So I noticed that you also have a team of color assists. Are these flatters?
So Ross had flatter, a couple flatters that worked on it for the first issue, and and they were actually a dad and a daughter that worked together. He was teaching her how to do flatting, which was really cool. And then some of the work had to be done while he was tied up. So we had 3 flatters that worked on it initially, which, like you said, for my pages probably needed. Chris, I don't know what Chris is doing. Chris might be outsourcing for some flatters. He might be doing it himself. I'm not really sure. I just know the pages show up, and Chris is very, very no nonsense. He just gets it done, and it shows up in your inbox, and that's pretty much it. Every once in a while, every once in a while he'll send me an email in response to a question I have, but that's about it. And then I got Dave Sharp doing the lettering, and he's been in the business for decades as well. And it's just I am humbled by the people that I'm working with, because I'm a first-time writer out, and I got some incredible talent around me, and that's really what most of this Kickstarter goal is going towards, is making sure they're paid. Yeah. And I want to make sure they're paid well and paid on time and paid for what they deserve to be paid for. So
no, that's what it's about, right? Especially when you have a team like this. That's where most of the that and like shipping probably is going to be like most of your
shipping, the printing, obviously, things like that. I can guarantee people I am not getting any money from this.
I was just gonna say that for everybody watching, like, this money does not go into his pocket. It's all going to go into the production. So
going into the elf/gnome.
Yes,
that elf is eating it up. But so. The campaign itself, any highlights that you would say, guys, this is the one you got? Because I'm looking at that art book at the bottom. I don't know how you get that art book. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the art book and what's in it. But what are some of the highlight tiers that you have on the campaign? Yeah,
so a couple things. One is I have an amazing person doing a variant cover, which is Chrissy Zulo, and she's incredible. She's had some of her artwork was turned into statues for DC Comics and stuff. It's one of those things that somebody I always wanted to work with, and somebody I have admired for a while, her artwork and everything else. And it was one of those things where you don't ask, you don't get. I reached out to her and said, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And she was like, yeah, we agreed on a rate. And by the way, that's part of where me funding it myself is coming from. So again, not only am I not getting any money from this, but I'm paying some of my own money out to other people. So, but yeah, I actually she should have it done by Friday, she told me, and she sent me an image. I can't wait to show it to the audience. I'm blown away. Like, it looks like something out of a Don Bluth movie. Like, it's incredible, the artwork that she's doing. And she's going to share it with her audience, which is huge.
Wow. And
I think that could give us the boost, along with obviously audiences like I'm talking to today with you guys and everything else. I think that can really give us the boost we need to get up to where we need to be, as well as above. But her cover comes in the first combo pack. So you get the combo pack, and that's the one I always recommend to people, because you get the main cover, the variant cover, you get a digital coloring book, you get a bookmark, you get 4 mini prints. It's a nice package for $30, which is, that's a lot. Joel Jackson also is going to do 10 commissions. And again, you've seen his artwork. He will do any character you want. And that stuff's been impressive. You can actually be in the comic. And that's our top tier. And Joel does an amazing likeness. In fact, there was 4 people in the issue, and 2 of them are making return appearances in this issue. And they're not even paying for it this time. I just liked their characters so much and how they looked that I'm using them again. So I of course reached out and asked them if that was fine, but yeah,
I'm sure they're probably celebrating.
Absolutely. And then you're talking about that art book. We are extremely proud of that art book. That art book was a labor of love that my wife and I worked on after the whole project was done. And we probably put as much time into that as everybody put into the actual comic itself. I mean, it was hours and hours of her and I sitting in front of a computer. And there's concept art in there. There's information about where the story might be going, new characters that we haven't even introduced yet. There's the process from a written script all the way to the final page, and we show you every single stage of that. We show you some fan art of some things that people made. Like I said, if you like behind the scenes art, that is perfect for you. Now, where people can get it is we do have add-ons. So you pick your reward, and then in the add-on section, that art book is available, because that was part of a tier for issue 1.
Gotcha.
But if people wanted it when they saw, they jumped on for issue 2, we wanted to still make it available for them. So
nice.
That's good.
Nice.
Yes, yeah, it's hardcover too. It's a nice looking. Yeah, it's a nice looking book.
Yeah.
What about the elf? Do you get the elf or no?
You get the elf. You get to see some concept art of Ari the elf, and you get a little bit of history as far as where he came from and who he is. I will tell you, Ari the elf, we're introducing a new character in issue 2, who you saw in that first page of issue 1, right? Which is a little robot. You saw her all broken in the one corner of that room. And that's Watts. And Watts is, again, bringing that technology and mythology together. So,
yes, the purple.
It's
yes, the purple thing. Yes,
it's amazing what traveling will do to your imagination. Also, like you take a trip to Iceland, and I'm sure you came back with so many more things that you are now going to add and inject into the story. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I want to recreate that room. That room is awesome.
Well, and that's a fun thing too, was like Joel pulled from like real life references. Like, so he sent me like the images that he used to help create that room.
Wow.
Beautiful.
So that's amazing stuff. But yeah, so like to give you an idea with Ari and Watts, they're kind of my R2D2 C3PO characters. So Watts is that proper logical being, and Ari is the snarky little instinctual being. So, but they have to work together because they both care about Jamie, the stealth hammer. So that's the fun part about it, is writing those characters. And Ari is also kind of my Yoda character at the same time, because he's of course the mentor to her. He's the guide, and he also has his own way of speaking, much like Yoda does. So he speaks in third person, but he also like has a unique sense of voice to himself. So
nice, man. No, this is awesome, brother. I really like what you're doing. And guys, we have to get them funded. So if you are watching this right now, you need to go to Kickstarter, type in Stealth Hammer. The links are obviously going to be here on the video as well, but click on that link, go to Kickstarter. You have 11 days to go, Ryan. I think you're going to do wonderful. I mean, once that cover hits, like you were talking about, I'm sure it's gonna go bananas. Where can we find you? And are you doing any shows or anything? Where people can actually go and greet you, shake your hand, and say, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?"
Yeah, so I'm not doing any shows this year. However, next year I do plan on doing several, and I'm already lining up Fan Expo Cleveland, which is my hometown, but it's also a nice big show to go to. Yeah, and I might be in Baltimore. I know I'll be in Baltimore at least as a fan, but I might try to see if I can get a table there because I go there every year.
Oh, I was there this year. Were you around?
I did not go this year.
Oh, look at that.
This was the one year I did not go. We're just being a little extra safe this year and everything else. But, of course. But next year definitely going to be out there a lot more. And where people can find Stealth Hammer is we are on all the social media. We're on Facebook. There's a fan page there. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And I just started doing TikTok videos. So
look at you. Look at you.
Oh, man.
You're going to see
trying to reach a new audience.
You're going to see Ryan and some dancing elves. It's going to be awesome.
That's right.
Elves.
Actually, you can hear Ari talk in the TikTok video. So
look at that. Look at that. So you got a minute. You got to captivate the audience. Give the pitch.
Yep. So Stealth Hammer is the all-ages superhero adventure comic that takes place in the world of high-tech gadgetry and supernatural mythology. It is all ages, is appropriate for anyone. We've had people from 5 years old to 94-year-old woman that read it and loved it. So it is for everybody and anybody. It's a fun ride. If you just want to read a fun comic, you can do that. But if you're also someone that likes to dig a little bit deeper, like we talked about today, it's also for you. So
outstanding. Well, thank you, Ryan, for being on Catch the Craze.
I appreciate it, man. I've been enjoying the show quite a bit ever since I heard about you guys. So
awesome. Thank you. And we have to have you back outside of a campaign just to get into the mind of the Ryan.
That sounds good.
Yes, you gotta bring the gnome. I'm sorry, elf with you. And
I want to pick your guys' brains a little bit too in the future, so that'd be awesome.
Awesome, brother. So thank you again. Much success again, guys. The link is in the chat. It's also in the summary. Pledge today. I'm sorry, but for some reason it didn't connect to Facebook. So anybody who was watching us on Facebook, I hope you converted to YouTube. But thank you again, Ryan. Well, we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you.
You got it, brother.
Later, Ryan.
All right.
Wow, that was great, man. Holy cow.
Thanks, man.
Really good book. That art book looks like it's a really cool thing to have on the mantle there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Another really good. I mean, guys, when you see the interiors on these pages, it's just mind blowing. I was like, man, if I had to draw that, I'd shoot myself.
Yeah, we're not exaggerating. That first page in that first book is really out of control.
Yes, out of control. Yeah, so with that said, again, we're gonna be live again in 8 minutes. We're gonna come back with Krista Grant. We're gonna be talking about lore from the 8 o'clock hour, and we're still waiting on 2 more backers to get us to get George to pull out the spinner.
Well, okay, yes. Pull out the spinner. Yes, Jesus Christ.
Yes, we gotta get. Show them what we got, George. Show them what we got. Where's that spinner?
Names are already in it.
Yes, we got 3 names on the spinner. We need 2 more names. So we need 2 more backers at a minimum of $15. Doesn't matter if it's on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Minimum of $15 pledge, and your name will go on that spinner, and you'll get a chance to win the pros. The short story, Dark Fantasy by Sam the Crazy Man Vera. This is another good episode. Thank you all again. Join us in 5 minutes. We're going to be back with Krista Grant. Anything from you, George?
That's it. Make sure you pledge, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thumbs up, subscribe, like, share. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we are out.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
he described me. He said, I'm the idiot.
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. On Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.